Hey guys, welcome to the channel. As you see in the thumbnail, what if Naruto x all Kamen Rider Girls and Harem Part 1. Before I start, please do support for more awesome content, and subscribe my channel and like this video. Go support and follow the Bieng Warrior for writing that awesome fanfic, and also make sure to comment on this story. Link in the description. You so much Irika-sensei. He said. Not a problem Naruto, now can you get off me? Irika said, wincing slightly. Naruto blinked, and jumped off his wounded teacher. He was about to apologize when they heard a groan. Damn, demon brat, Mizuki growled, staggering towards the pair. You're still conscious? Asked Naruto. I guess I didn't overdo it after all. I will kill you, Mizuki said and pulled out a vial. This is the power that will let me do it. He threw his head back and drank the fluid. That can't be good, Naruto said, moving in front of Irika. Mizuki's body began to twitch and spasm. His muscles grew, ripping through his cloths, and he started growing orange and black stripped fur. After about a minute, Mizuki was replaced with large, bipedal tiger. Now you will die, fox, Mizuki growled. Naruto meanwhile was shaking with anger, and glaring at Mizuki. You call me a demon, and then you turn around and throw away your humanity? Naruto growled. His glare and Naruto's tone made the Tiger Man step back. That is unforgivable, he shouted. His coat burst open to reveal a belt with a red spiral on the buckle. Naruto grabbed the buckle and twisted it, causing the spiral to spin. Henshin! Shouted Naruto, and his body were apparently covered in flames. The flames resided to show Naruto now covered in red armor with orange markings along the collar and spirals marking on his stomach, back and shoulder, with other marks going along his arms and legs. He also had a large sword on his back. The pommel of the blade looked like a skull and ribcage with femurs on both sides. A/N. Think something like a red version of Naruto's Kyuubi chakra mode with orange markings. The sword is rebellion of Devil May Cry. Mizuki and Irika were both in shock at what happened to Naruto. Naruto just charged at Mizuki, drawing his sword. The Tiger Man was just barely able to come out of his stupor as Naruto swung his sword at him. Mizuki managed to block the first 3 swings, but the 4th swing shattered his defense, and was nailed by a barrage of stabs, and a final stab sent him flying back. Naruto charged after Mizuki, blade forward. He stabbed Mizuki and slashed him into the air. Naruto followed him in the air and hit him with 4 slashes and slammed him down into the ground with a final slash. Naruto jumped back and resheathed his blade. Irika stared, slack-jawed. Naruto had just unleashed a massive amount of damaging attacks upon Mizuki, who especially now was no slouch. The strength must have been amplified by that armor somehow. Not to disrespect Naruto, but he was just a fresh out of the academy ninja now. So where had he gotten that armor, or for that matter that good with a sword? Mizuki growled as he pushed himself back up. He glared at Naruto and bared his teeth. I'm gonna rip you apart, you damn fox brat, he growled. You really like hearing yourself talk, don't you? Naruto asked. Mizuki roared and charged Naruto. He thrust his claw forward. Naruto ducked under the claw and slashed Mizuki's stomach and unleashed another barrage of stabs before hitting him with one final super thrust that sent him into a rock. Million stab, Naruto said before he shot towards. Before the Tiger Man could recover, Naruto spun his sword like a buzz saw, picking him up off the ground for a second before reversing the saw and flooring him. Naruto took a step back, watching Mizuki carefully. If you're still alive, I suggest you stay down, Naruto advised. I don't want to kill you, but if I have to hit you with a Hisatsu, I won't hesitate. He gripped the hilt of his sword tightly. Mizuki growled in response and pushed him up. You think you can kill me? Mizuki demanded. He stood up and let out a thunderous roar. Oh yeah, Naruto said and twisted the hilt of his sword. The skull opened its mouth, and the femurs shot out away from the ribs. The blade glowed dark red. Dance macabre, he yelled and shot forward, swinging his sword at Mizuki. The traitor didn't stand a chance as Naruto's sword cut through him like a hot knife through butter. The last 2 slashes lifted the Tiger Man into the air, and the last one sliced him clean in half, along with a couple of the trees behind him. Mizuki's eyes were widened as he collapsed in a blood heap. Naruto flicked his sword. The light faded and the pommel returned to normal. He twisted the buckle again and the armor and sword disappeared. Naruto then ran to the bushes and emptied the contents of his stomach into a nearby bush. Iruka walked over to him and started to gently rub his back. Naruto stayed that way for a few moments before he pushed himself up. Was it that bad for you? He asked. Iruka gave the boy a sad smile. Yeah, but my sensei helped me through it, Iruka said. He also explained to me that reacting like I did, like you just did, mean that we're still humans and not mindless, emotionless tools. And that's good, right? Naruto asked. It's very good, said an aged voice. Iruka and Naruto turned to see Hiruzen Sarutobi walking towards them. Lord Hokage, Iruka said. Hey old man, Naruto said weakly. Hiruzen smiled before he knelt down and pulled Naruto into a gentle hug. It's good that you reacted that way, Naruto. It just proves just how human you really are, the aged fire shadow said. And I'm very proud of you. Naruto smiled and returned the hug. Lord Hokage, Iruka said. I know that you will need to talk to Naruto and myself about what happened tonight, the Hokage nodded. But would it be okay if we waited until the morning? He glanced at Naruto, and the Hokage understood. Yes, I think it would be okay, Hiruzen said. Naruto, I would like you to report to my office first thing in the morning, okay? Sure, old man, Naruto said. Naruto signaled his ANBU and had one of them, Dog, take Naruto home, while the rest were told to clean up the mess that had once been Mizuki. The next day, Naruto sat in a chair in the Hokage's office. The old Kage was smoking on his pipe and looking at Naruto. Naruto, I know you received a big shock last night, the Hokage started. I already knew about the fox, Naruto said, cutting off the old man. Why you did? Hiruzen asked. Yeah, you remember when I was 5? Asked Naruto. The Hokage frowned but nodded. It had been a particularly bad birthday for Naruto. Some villagers had found him and had actually beaten him into a coma. Well, while I was unconscious I met the fox and my mom and dad. Hiruzen blinked again, and his pipe almost fell out of his mouth. You're your parents, he gasped. Yeah, Naruto said with a smile. I know I'm the son of Kushina Uzumaki and Minato Namikaze, the 4th Hokage. He gave a warm smile. You see, Dad's family had, well, it more like a legacy rather than a bloodline. In his family are a group of warriors known as Kamen Riders. They were great and powerful men who were able to don special armor and be granted amazing powers to fight off all sorts of demons and monsters. But eventually, with the development of chakra and ninja, the Kamen Riders kind of died out. So you're one of these Kamen Riders? Hiruzen asked. Naruto nodded. Kamen Rider Kurama, he declared proudly. How? The Hokage asked. Old man, did you know that the Jinchuriki for the Kyuubi have all been Uzumakis? Naruto asked. The Hokage blinked and then his eyes widened. Guessing you never really thought about it before, Naruto said with a smile. But because of that, combined with Dad's legacy, the two powers mixed in order to give me my armor. What exactly does that armor give you? Hiruzen asked. Well, it gives me a pretty big boost in power. I can probably go head-to-head with a Jonin easily, maybe a Sannin. I can also maybe give a Kage a run for his money depending on the situation. But when I'm wearing the armor I can't use chakra. So I've just a taijutsu and kenjutsu, Naruto said, thinking. I'm not real sure. Last night was the first time I actually ever used it. Why is that? Hiruzen asked. Dad put a seal on it so that I wouldn't gain the power until I became a genin, Naruto said. I guess when Iruka told me I had graduated, it was enough to unseal the power. He shrugged. The Hokage nodded. What happened to your parents? Hiruzen asked. And the Kyuubi? Well, after our training, Mom and Dad just kind of, I don't know, moved on, I guess, Naruto said with a shrug. And as for Q, well, he just went back to sleep. Back to sleep? Hizen asked. Yeah, I guess since he sealed into me, he's lost a lot of energy, so now all he does is sleep. Naruto smirked. Sometimes when I'm meditating I can hear him snoring in the back of my head. The Hokage chuckled at that. I see, the Hokage said. Well, I am agreeing with Iruka's decision that you remain a genin. From what I understand you learned the Shadow Clone Jutsu. Naruto nodded. That is very impressive, Naruto. Thanks, old man, Naruto said with a big smile. However, I must ask you to keep your father's name quiet for a while. Hiruzen requested. Your father made many enemies, and as strong as you are with the Kurama armor, Naruto nodded. It's okay, I understand. Naruto said. I wasn't planning on taking Dad's name until I made Jonin or something. Hiruzen nodded. Well then, it gives me great pleasure to welcome you to the ninja ranks, Naruto, he said. Just as their meeting ended, the door burst open and some kid with a long scarf came flying in. It's time to fight, old man, the kid shouted before he tripped over his own scarf. Naruto raised an eyebrow and looked over at the Hokage, who was shaking his head. Who's the kid? Naruto asked, jerking his thumb at the boy. Before he could answer though, the child pointed at Naruto. You tripped me, he accused. A tick mark appeared on Naruto's forehead, and in a flash he was holding the kid up by his scarf. I didn't trip you, dumbass. You tripped over your own scarf, Naruto snapped. At that moment, a man in black appeared. When he saw Naruto holding the kid, he freaked. Boy, put him down now, the man in black demanded. That is the Hokage's grandson. Naruto blinked, looked at the kid, and then looked over at the Hokage, who nodded. He turned back to the kid, who had a smirk on his face. I don't care if you're the Hokage's grandmother, Naruto declared and bopped the boy on the head. The Hokage looked indifferent, though he was trying to hide the smirk on his face. The man in black meanwhile was in full freak-out mode. Naruto just left the office, not registering the look the Hokage's grandson was giving him. Naruto made his way out of the tower and made his way to the shopping district, to one shop in particular, Shinyan Weapon Shop, the shop run by Ninja, for Ninja. Hello, welcome to, the girl behind the counter said before seeing him. Naruto! You graduated! She wore a pink Chinese dress and had her hair up in a pair of buns. Yep, Naruto said, touching his headband. Is your grandpa in? I want to talk to him. Yeah, I'll go get him, she said. Thanks, Tenten, Naruto called. While she was in the back, Naruto glanced around at shop. Naruto, said an old voice. Naruto turned to see an old man with white hair in a ponytail, and his white beard in a braid. Hey Azulong, Naruto said. I was hoping to get some special cloths. He approached the old man, pulling out a few sheets of paper from inside his jacket. Azulong took the papers and looked through them, his eyebrows doing a little dance as he looked through them. You're sure you want this coat, Naruto? He asked. Naruto nodded, a smirk on his face. All right, but it's going to take me a while to make these. Naruto frowned before an idea hit him. Hey old man, do you know the shadow clone jutsu? He asked. Tenten looked confused at her grandfather. Yes, though I'm only able to make, he trailed off as Naruto's words hit him. Naruto, you are a genius. That's what I've been telling people for years, Naruto said with a smile. So about how long is the order gonna take? Azulong was thinking, stroking his beard. I can probably get you at least one by the end of the day. Probably get you a full set by the end of the week, Azulong said. Naruto smiled. What will I owe you? Asked Naruto. Well, normally something like this would cost you about 400 ryo, but for giving me that tip about the shadow clones, it'll only be about 150. Naruto blinked and smiled at that. Thanks, Azulong, he said. Naruto handed over the money. Thank you for the tip, Naruto, Azulong said. Stop by at the end of the day for your first set. Naruto nodded and said goodbye to the pair before leaving. After they left, he noticed that a section of a nearby fence was off in sequence, and had a pair of feet sticking out from under it, and some black hair sticking out near the top. Naruto just chuckled and made his way to Ramen Ichiraku. Hey old man Tsuchi, I am, Naruto said sitting down. Hello Naruto, I am said, with a smile. The usual? Make it 2 please, Naruto said. The pair looked at Naruto but provided him with what he asked for. Before Naruto dug in, he glanced over his shoulder. Hey kid, this is good ramen, you don't want to eat it when it's cold. A few seconds later, the Hokage's grandson walked into the stand. You knew I was out there? He asked. You have to make sure your disguise is perfect with where you're hiding and that it covers you completely, Naruto advised. Now eat up, this is the best ramen in Konoha, probably even the world. The Ikaraku smiled at the praise. They watched the two begin to eat with almost matching gusto. So Naruto, who's your little friend? Asked Teuchi. Naruto paused and looked at him. I never did get you name, kid. Naruto admitted. All I know is that you're the Hokage's grandson. The boy frowned and put down his chopsticks. My name is Konohamaru, the old man named me, but no one ever calls me that, it's always honorable grandson. The now identified Konohamaru said, No one ever sees me for me, they just see me as the old man's grandson. What about your parents? I am asked. They died on a mission when I was a baby. Konohamaru said. The old man and my uncle have taken to raising me. Naruto put his chopsticks down too. My parents died in the Kyuubi attack, so I never knew them either. Naruto said. The old man looked after me as much as he could and was sort of like a grandfather to me. He smiled at Konohamaru. I guess this kind of makes us cousins, doesn't it? Konohamaru looked at him to process this information and then smiled. So, why did you want to fight the old man? To show that I'm my own man and not just my grandpa's grandson, Konohamaru said. That's why I'm gonna be Hokage someday. Teuchi and Ayam looked at the two boys and smiled, thinking that these two were cut from the same cloth. The two of them finished their ramen, and Naruto tried paying for them, but they were told it was on the house today. After thanking them, Naruto took Konohamaru to a nearby training field. Let me ask you something, Konohamaru. Have you ever actually thrown a shuriken? Asked Naruto. Konohamaru blinked but then shook his head. Naruto nodded and walked over to him. Have you ever played cards before? Konohamaru raised an eyebrow. I've played Go Fish and Old Maid with my friends, he said. Naruto nodded and pulled out a shuriken. Well, throwing shuriken is a lot like dealing cards, Naruto explained. To demonstrate, he threw a shuriken at a nearby tree. The blade of the weapon sank into the wood. Now you try. Konohamaru took the weapon from Naruto and looked at the tree. He threw the bladed weapon and it went wide left. You're throwing it a little too soon, Naruto said. Try again. How come you're doing this for me? Konohamaru asked. Well, we're cousins, right, and family needs to help each other, Naruto said. Besides, if we're gonna be rivals for being the Hokage, I want to make sure you're the best of the best. Konohamaru blinked before understanding. Hi, Naruto-sensei, Konohamaru said and continued practicing with the shuriken. When Konohamaru's tutor, the man in black, Ebisu, showed up, Naruto sent a few shadow clones to take care of him, while he moved on to teaching Konohamaru about kunai. Now, kunai are more for up-close and personal matters. They can be used to slashing and stabbing, or, he flipped the kunai around into a reverse grip. This way can be used for defense and blocking. They are also good throwing weapons and you can wrap explosive tags to them to make throwing bombs out of them. But just throwing them should be saved for a last resort. They spent the rest of their time practicing kunai throwing. By the end, Konohamaru was able to throw it without it spinning and hit the tree. I think that's it for today, Konohamaru, Naruto said. Let's get you home. Hi, Naruto-sensei, Konohamaru said. When I'm not teaching you, it's just Naruto, okay, kid? Naruto said with a smile. Konohamaru nodded. Ebisu had finally managed to dispel Naruto's clones, but when he looked around, he saw Naruto and Konohamaru walking away. He was about to call out to them, but then got blindsided by a clone that had been hiding in the bushes. Naruto dropped Konohamaru off at his house and also met his uncle Asuma. It was also upon the Hokage's insistence that Naruto stay for dinner. After dinner, Naruto picked up his order from Azulong. He grabbed it and went home to sleep. Commercial break. Betrayed by his village and driven out of the only home he'd ever known. Uzumaki Naruto leaves the village of Konoha and, under the advice to his teacher, finds a small village on an island. There he meets another young man who is also destined for greatness, Monkey D. Straw Hat Luffy, a rubber man who can't swim after eating the cursed devil fruit. Now with new friends by his side and a new destiny spread out before him, Naruto goes from ninja to pirate in a great adventure that spans the 7 seas and beyond. The King of Pirates and the Kazukage, Chapter 1, Romance Dawn. Now, back to the show. The next day, Naruto woke up early and looked at the clock. It was 6:30, and the team placements weren't until 8 o'clock. He tried going back to sleep, but found that he couldn't. So he just got up and got dressed in his new clothes. Gone was the traffic cone orange. Look at me, I'm over here jumpsuit. Now Naruto was sporting a dark orange shirt with the Uzumaki spiral in black over his heart, black cargo pants with about 12.5 pockets, black steel-tipped boots, a black coat with a 9-tailed fox on it, its tails wrapping around the front of his coat and 2 on each sleeve, the 9th tail on his upper back, all the tails curled into spirals, and, his personal favorite, a red fedora-styled hat with a white triangle on the brim with the kanji for fire in it. It was basically a fedora version of the Hokage's hat. He tied his headband around his neck. Naruto grabbed himself a quick breakfast and headed out to the academy. It was still dark outside, so most people weren't out yet. Naruto made his way to academy and walked into the classroom where Iruka would be announcing the teams. Glancing at the wall clock, it was only 7:15. Naruto yawned. Lack of sleep was catching up to him. He walked to the middle of the classroom, middle seat in the middle row, kicked his boots up on the table, pulled his hat down over his eyes, and fell back asleep. Over the next 40 minutes, other students started filing into the classroom. Most looked at Naruto and shrugged him off, not recognizing him. When Kiba Inuzuka walked in and looked at Naruto, he caught his scent and smiled. He didn't know how his friend got in, and he didn't care, he was just glad. Shino Aburame walked in next to Kiba and sensed Naruto's chakra through his bugs. Though the two never really hung out, Naruto and Shino each had respect for one another as both people and as ninja, and Shino was glad that Naruto had passed. Shikamaru and Nara glanced up at Naruto and, upon hearing his breathing, recognized Naruto instantly. The pair had shared enough naps over the years they could recognize each other in their sleep, literally. Choji Akimichi also recognized Naruto the same as Shikamaru did. He'd been around Naruto enough to know him when he was asleep. The boys each took seats around Naruto, Shikamaru and Choji behind him and Kiba and Shino in front. Hinata Hyuga was the next to enter the classroom and recognize Naruto. She did so instantly with her Naruto sense. She walked over to him and contemplated sitting next to him. "You can sit next to me if you want to," Naruto said. Hinata blinked and started to blush a bit as she sat down next to him. A few minutes later, Sakura Haruno and Ino Yamanaka came stampeding into the room. After a lot more bickering, Sakura sat next to Sasuke Uchiha while Ino took the only available seat, which happened to be on the other side of Naruto. "Hey Hinata," Ino said, leaning forward, "who's this?" Before Hinata could answer, Iruka called the class to attention. He did this by growing his head to the size of a small boulder and screaming, "Shut up!" After he got everyone's attention, Iruka went into his graduation speech and then started naming off the teams. Team 7 will be Sakura Haruno, Naruto Uzumaki, and Sasuke Uchiha, Iruka said. Sakura was about to scream about Naruto's absence, but the blonde beat her to it. "Iruka-sensei, why am I paired up with her?" asked Naruto. Everyone turned to see Naruto bringing his feet down and pushing his head up. "I mean, I get why I'm with Sasuke, best in the class with the worst in the class, but why Sakura? Why not Hinata, or at the very least Ino? What's that supposed to mean?" Sakura demanded. Naruto sighed in annoyance and looked at the pink-haired girl. "I mean that Hinata is the best fighter in the class and Ino is the second most accurate kunoichi I've ever met, whereas you couldn't fight your way out of a wet paper bag or hit the broad side of a barn." Many of the students were laughing, though the three mentioned girls were turning red. Hinata because her crush had praised her fighting abilities, Ino because Naruto had said such nice things about her, and Sakura was turning red because she'd just been insulted by the class dope. He was right, but her pride wouldn't let her admit that, especially since Naruto had said it. "These are the teams approved by the Hokage Naruto," Iruka said, trying to sound professional, but the look he was giving Naruto said, "I'm sorry." "TCH, Naruto scoffed, and pulled his hat back down over his eyes. After Iruka finished naming off the teams, he told them that their teachers would meet them after lunch. Naruto sighed and was about to leave when he found himself surrounded by Kiba, Shino, Hinata, Ino, Shikamaru, and Choji. Hey guys," Naruto said awkwardly. "Dude, how did you graduate?" Kiba said, slapping him on the back. "Not that I'm complaining or anything. Well, it's a bit of a story and I don't want to bore you guys," Naruto said. Please, please bore us, Ino said. She had given up on her Sasuke crush and was now more interested in Naruto since he had paid her a nice compliment, while Sasuke had never so much as given her the time of day. All right, Naruto said, waving them down. Come on, let's go eat up on the roof. Naruto then proceeded to regale them with his story of being tricked by Mizuki into stealing the Forbidden Scroll and then karmatically beating the crap out of Mizuki with the Shadow Clone Jutsu. He'd left out the parts about Mizuki telling him about the Kyuubi and his using the Kurama armor. It wasn't that he didn't trust them, well, mostly. Kiba, Shikamaru, and Choji had played together since they were kids. He knew Shino was a stand-up guy, but he didn't know much about Hinata and couldn't be sure if Ino would go running to Sasuke about his armor. The last thing he wanted was the Uchiha Massacre survivor on his case. He just wanted to keep those things secret unless he had to tell them. Just as he finished his story, though, he felt a pain in his stomach and excused himself to the bathroom. He sadly spent the last of his lunch break on the toilet. His milk must have gone bad on him, or something. When the attack finally finished, he made his way back to the classroom to wait for his teacher. And they waited, and waited, and waited. Eventually they were the last team in the room. Sakura was trying to flirt with Sasuke while Naruto was taking another nap. Finally, the door opened and a man with gravity-defying gray hair dressed in standard Konoha ninja wear for Jonin with his headband covering his left eye poked his head into the room. This got everyone's attention. You're late! Sakura screamed, making all the guys in the room wince. Sorry, I got lost on the road of life, the man said. Meet me up on the roof. The group gathered on the roof, their sensei leaning against the railing while the rest of them sat in front of him. Now I'd like you to tell us a bit about yourselves, the man said. Like what? Sakura asked. Oh, you know, your likes, dislikes, dreams, hobbies, stuff like that, the man said. Would you mind going first, sensei? Naruto asked. That's right, we don't know anything about you, Sakura agreed. All right, the man said. My name is Kakashi Hatake. I don't like talking about my likes and dislikes. My dream is really none of your business, and I have a lot of hobbies. The genin all looked at him blankly, all thinking the same thing. All he told us his name. Now why don't we start with you on the right? He pointed at Naruto. My name is Naruto Uzumaki, Naruto said. Everyone just looked at him waiting for him to continue, and Kakashi coaxed. Hey, trust is a two-way street, sensei, Naruto said. You want to know more about me, you tell me more about you. And with that Naruto pulled his hat back over his eyes and leaned back. Everyone stared at him until it became clear he wasn't going to say anything else. Okay, next. He glanced at Sasuke. My name is Sasuke Uchiha. There are plenty of things that I hate, but I don't see that it matters considering there is almost nothing that I do like. It seems pointless to talk about dreams, that's just a word, Sasuke said. But what I do have is determination. I plan to restore my clan and there is someone I have sworn to kill. Sakura was looking at Sasuke with hearts in her eyes, Naruto was rolling his eyes behind his hat, and Kakashi narrowed his eye at the boy. And finally the young lady, Kakashi said, I'm Sakura Haruno. My favorite thing is, well, it's not a thing, it's a person. A boy, and that boy is, she said, blushing and looking over at Sasuke. Let's move on to my dream. But this just made her blush even bigger. I hate Naruto, she declared. Everyone looked over at Naruto, whose only reaction was to flip Sakura the bird. This action actually stunned Sakura into silence, so Kakashi assumed that she was finished. Okay, well, that's enough for introductions, I think, Kakashi said. Formal training will begin tomorrow, survival training, but we already did a lot of that in school, Sakura said. But you'll be surviving against me, Kakashi pointed out. It won't be your typical practice. Then what kind of practice will it be? Naruto asked, pushing up the brim of his hat. He narrowed his eyes when Kakashi chuckled. What's so funny, sensei? Sakura asked. If I told you, then you'd just chicken out, Kakashi said. And why would we do that? Naruto asked. Kakashi got an evil look in his eye. Of the 27 students that graduated in your class, only 9 will actually go on to be ninja while the other 18 returns to the academy for more training, Kakashi explained. which means that the test you're about to take has a 66% chance of failure. Sasuke looked indifferent about the news, Sakura was freaking out, and Naruto just leaned back and pulled his hat back over his eyes. But what about the test we just took? Sakura demanded. Oh, that was just to weed out the hopeless causes from our ranks, and keep the kids who actually showed some potential. Kakashi explained. In any event, we'll meet at the training fields tomorrow so I can evaluate your skills. Bring any and all ninja weapons and equipment you have. And don't eat anything, you'll just throw it up. He handed over information sheets. Everything is on these, so don't be late. While the genin looked over the information sheets, the jonin disappeared in a puff of smoke. Naruto looked at the information and then got up to leave, leaving behind his two teammates. He walked through the streets of Konoha until he came upon the Sarutobi complex. He heard the sound of metal hitting wood and followed it to find Konohamaru throwing weapons at a tall post. It had a lot of scratches on the edges, many looking fresh, but there were also a lot of dents in it showing where shuriken and/or kunai had impaled it. Hey, Konohamaru, Naruto said, getting the boy's attention. He stopped his throwing and turned to smile at the blonde. Naruto-sensei! He cried happily. Nice cloths. Thanks, kid, though since I was a real ninja now I should look more professional. Naruto said. You've been practicing. Yeah, check this out. Konohamaru said and threw 5 shuriken and 5 kunai at the post. All of the shuriken dug into the wood, and so did 3 of the kunai. Nice work. Naruto said. It is pretty good, isn't it? Asuma said, a cigarette hanging from his mouth. Hey Asuma, how's your new team? Asked Naruto. They're okay, a little rough around the edges, but what can you do? He said with a shrug. What about yours? The emo king of Konoha, his #1 fangirl, and apparently a teacher who tends to be really tardy, Naruto listed off. Kakashi, huh? Asuma said. Fair warning, he tends to be about 2.5 hours late to anything that isn't real serious. Thanks for the tip. Naruto said. Hey, you got any targets or anything around here? Asuma stroked his beard before nodding and disappeared back into the house. All right, Konohamaru, Naruto said, kneeling down to eye level with the boy. When your uncle gets back, we're going to work on your accuracy. It looks like you've gotten throwing the weapons down pretty well, so now we're going to work on making them fly where you want to go. Right, Naruto-sensei, Konohamaru said, snapping into a salute. Naruto smiled at the boy and ruffled his hair. Also, I wanted to tell you that there might be a chance that I won't be around so much to train you. It depends on if I pass my test tomorrow. Konohamaru looked sad but smiled. That's okay, Naruto, I'm gonna be starting the academy soon anyway. He said. Do you know who your teacher is going to be? Asked Naruto. I was planning on putting him with Iruka. The Hokage said, walking into the clearing, with Asuma, who was holding the target board. Naruto smiled and turned back to Konohamaru. Konohamaru, I want you to listen to what Iruka-sensei will have to say. Naruto said. His lectures may put you to sleep, but he's a good teacher. An evil smile crossed Naruto's features. But that doesn't mean you can't mess with him a bit. Feel free to drive him a little crazy. Hiruzen gave a low chuckle at that. Naruto, you're not trying to corrupt my grandson now, are you? He asked. Me, old man, no, never. Naruto said, trying to sound as innocent as possible. The rest of the day was spent helping Konohamaru with his accuracy. The next day, Kakashi walked up to Training Ground 7 with a smile on his face. Good morning, class. He said pleasantly. You're late. Sakura and Sasuke shouted at him. Kakashi smiled and noticed that Naruto was leaning against a tree munching on a carrot stick. Sorry, I was helping this little old lady with her groceries. Kakashi said. Now, I've set this clock to go off at noon. He said and placed an alarm clock on a nearby stump. And here I have 2 bells. The object of his exercise is to get these bells from me before the timer goes off. If you don't, then you'll be tied to one of those stumps, and have to watch me eat it in front of you. He tapped the bells together so that they dinged. And to pass you just need 1 bell, apiece. Anyone who doesn't get a bell gets tied up, goes hungry, and then is sent back to the academy. Sakura and Sasuke looked nervous. Naruto meanwhile just finished his carrot stick. You can use anything you like. And come at me with the intent to kill or else you won't stand a chance. But sensei, that's dangerous, Sakura shouted. Naruto just rolled his eyes. Come on Sakura, this guy is an elite jonin, a former ANBU captain, veteran of the Third Shinobi World War, and a student of the legendary Fourth Hokage. Naruto said, annoyed. We'd be lucky to even scratch him. Sakura and Sasuke were looking at him stunned while Kakashi was impressed. What? I did my homework yesterday. I also happen to know that he's a porn addict, and is chronically tardy by about 2.5 hours unless it's important. Alright, that's enough of that, Kakashi said quickly. I don't know about the other two, but I think I'm starting to like you, kid, Kakashi said. Now ready, set, go! The four ninja disappeared in blurs of movement. Kakashi stood in the field looking around. He had to admit those kids were pretty good at stealth. They'd hidden themselves well. He could still sense their chakra, but he was a jonin after all. Hey, Kakashi-sensei, Naruto said, walking into the clearing. Naruto, you know it would be better to sneak up on me, right? Kakashi asked. Yeah, but I already know the meaning behind the test and I can tell you that it'll be a failure, Naruto said. Oh really? Said Kakashi. Yeah, I'll explain later, Naruto said with a wave of his hand. I was wondering if you would spare with me real fast. I'd like to see how my skills stack up against a real ninja. Kakashi looked at the boy and gave him a nice smile. Sure Naruto, show me what you can do, he said. Naruto smiled and crossed his fingers. Shadow Clone Jutsu, shouted Naruto, and the field was quickly filled with thousands of Narutos. Shadow clones, I heard that he used this jutsu to beat Mizuki. Let's just see how he uses it. Kakashi though. His other two students were having other thoughts. Those are flesh and blood, what technique is that? Sakura asked. First he talks back to me, then he flips me off, and now he pulls out a technique like this. What happened? Where did this dope learn a move like that? Sasuke seethed. A technique like that should be known by an Uchiha, not some no-clan orphan loser. The clones all charged at Kakashi. The first one that got there used a 1-2 punch that was quickly blocked, and then Kakashi had to block one coming in with a rising knee. He almost missed the one above him attacking with a double hammer fist, but managed to jump out of the way just as a fourth clone vaulted over the previous clone and landed a kick to Kakashi's chest. The fourth clone jumped over the fifth's back and hit Kakashi twice in the head with a spinning bicycle kick. Then the two clones each kicked Kakashi in the chest and jumped off, sending him skidding back. An interesting tactic, Kakashi thought. He's using the advantage of numbers to try and keep me off guard, Kakashi thought. Basically, he's using a small army to fight a single opponent. Given the situation, that's rather clever. Kakashi didn't get much time to relax as another clone came charging at him with an uppercut that changed into a flip kick. Kakashi jumped into the air to avoid the attack and twisted in midair to avoid the jumping kick from the next clone. When did Naruto get this good? Sakura wondered again from her hiding place. He never won any of the matches back at the academy. Hell, he never even learned the academy style of taijutsu. As soon as Kakashi landed, yet another clone came charging forward and unleashed a series of blows at him. He was so distracted he almost didn't notice the one coming in, and was forced to replace himself with one of the clones before it got kicked in the jaw and sent flying. Where? Sasuke thought in rage. Where did he get all this strength? I need that power so that I can finally kill him. Where Kakashi had appeared after switching with the clone, another Naruto came sliding into him, trying to knock him off balance. At the same time, another attacked from the sky with a diving punch. Kakashi grabbed the clone by the arm and swung him around to intercept the one that had been coming in with a spinning axe kick. Not bad, Naruto, Kakashi said. But it's going to take more than that to defeat me. Good thing that's not all I've got. One of the Narutos shouted as it and a partner jumped into the air, flying at Kakashi. The two Narutos spun each other around, each trying to hit Kakashi before he grabbed them and threw them towards two more clones that were trying to ambush him. From the smoke the clones created after they dispersed, two more clones came charging forward and Kakashi was forced to fend them off. However, he didn't notice that they were leading him right into the waiting arms of a third Naruto who grabbed him around the waist. Caught off guard, Kakashi was swung around into the kick of a waiting clone that sent Kakashi airborne, while the clone that had swung him flipped up into the air and hit him in the face with an axe kick that sent him flying straight into the ground. Sakura and Sasuke were shocked, to say the least. Naruto Uzumaki, the student considered by most to be least likely to succeed as a ninja, had just landed a good strong blow against the Jonin, and a pretty damn good one if the resumed Naruto had said was to be believed. Kakashi sat up, rubbing his head. He had to admit, Naruto was pretty good in a fight like this. He lacked any kind of style, but he could clearly hold his own in an all-out brawl. He was pulled out of his thoughts at the sight of a pair of windmill shuriken coming at him. He was able to block the blades with a pair of kunai but wasn't expecting them to turn into more clones of Naruto. They'd managed to get a couple of glancing blows before Kakashi crashed their skulls together, forcing them to disappear in puffs of smoke. From that smoke burst 3 clones that slid-kicked Kakashi into the air, where a couple hundred Narutos started flying at him. It took Kakashi everything to dodge and redirect the clones. When he spotted 2 remaining Narutos come flying at him, he flipped himself over their heads. As soon as he hit the ground he noticed the growing shadows closing in on him. His eye widened as the airborne Narutos came down to dogpile him. But Naruto clearly wasn't done yet. One Naruto started to pull out the others, with Kakashi at the end of the chain. Naruto swung the string of clones and one teacher around like a lasso before slamming them into the ground. The clones all disappeared, leaving only the Naruto that had been on the throwing end of the chain panting slightly. And then a second after the smoke cleared, Kakashi himself disappeared. Naruto blinked and hung his head. "When did you switch yourself out with a shadow clone?" he asked. Kakashi appeared behind him, leaning against a tree and reading through a little orange book. "Oh, about the time I switched with one of your clones to save myself from getting nailed by that kick," Kakashi said offhandedly. "So you created a shadow clone and had it switch with one of my clones while you switched with a rock or something in the area?" asked Naruto in defeat. "Yep," Kakashi confirmed, turning the page. "Though I have to say your fighting style is..." Kakashi was suddenly cut off as wave of shuriken nailed him in the head. Or at least that's what it looked like. A puff of smoke later showed a plank of wood with the shuriken buried in it. "Thanks a lot, Sasuke," Naruto grumbled. Shrugging, Naruto walked over to the posts with plans on studying the backs of his eyelids. At least that was the plan until he noticed the stone that was behind the posts. Curiosity getting the better of him, Naruto examined the stone and started examining the stone. It appeared to be covered with various names. Obito Uchiha, probably one of Sasuke's relatives. He muttered to himself and continued looking. Kyuga Aburame, hang on, didn't Shino have an uncle named Kyuga? Naruto kept looking through the stone until he came across another name that he recognized, Okami Inuzuka, Kiba's father. That was when the meaning of this stone hit home for Naruto. He heard Sakura's scream, but ignored it. He just made a surprising discovery. Kakashi probably wouldn't do anything too extreme during the test, and Naruto's crush on her had all been part of an act. Naruto pulled out a pencil and some paper and started examining the stone. Whenever he was lucky enough to find the name Uzumaki or Namikaze, he would rub the pencil across the paper and get the name onto the paper. By the time he finished, Kakashi had appeared up on the stumps. "Yo," he said lazily, making Naruto jump. "You shouldn't let your guard down, even during a test." "Right, sorry," Naruto said. "I just got so engrossed on this stone." Kakashi walked over next to him. "See anyone you know?" he asked. "A friend's dad, and I think another one's uncle," Naruto said. "And maybe some family." He showed Kakashi the paper. "Namikaze?" asked the cycloptic Jonin. "Yeah, I know who my dad was," Naruto said. "Dog." Kakashi's eye widened and Naruto smiled. "You're not as dumb as you acted during the academy, are you?" Kakashi asked. "Nah," Naruto said. "I just played the fool during the academy to keep certain undesirables off my back." Kakashi nodded. The pair heard another scream and glanced out at the field. "Geez, Kakashi, what did you do to Sakura and Sasuke?" asked Naruto. "Well, I put Sakura under a genjutsu that showed Sasuke beaten, battered, broken, and within an inch of his life. She fainted," Kakashi said. "Sasuke actually surprised me. He managed to get his fingers on one of the bells and launch a fireball jutsu at me." Naruto blinked in surprise. "Sasuke actually knows the fireball jutsu?" he asked and let out a low whistle. Maybe Sasuke actually had some legitimate skills after all. Yes, Kakashi confirmed. But in the end I buried him up to his neck with my headhunter jutsu. That explains why Sakura just screamed, Naruto said. She probably saw Sasuke's severed head. Probably fainted again. They've really lowered the standards of being a ninja since my time, Kakashi said, shaking his head. By the way, I've got a little critique of your fighting style. Naruto gave the Jonin his full attention. You don't have any form of style whatsoever. Your main fighting strategy was to attack me with multiple numbers and try and catch me off guard, which you actually did a few times. Also, what was that trick you did with the windmill shuriken? Oh, that? I call it the demon wind bomb. Naruto explained. I used the transformations jutsu to turn myself and one of my shadow clones into the shuriken and have another clone throw us. While the enemy is expecting to have to deal with a pair of shuriken, instead they have to fight of a pair of me. Very ingenious, Naruto, Kakashi praised. The timer went off. Time's up. Looks like, Naruto agreed. The pair waited for Sakura and Sasuke to arrive. About 10 minutes later, the three ninja hopefuls were standing in front of the posts, and Kakashi stood in front of them. Sakura and Sasuke's stomachs were growling while Naruto just looked a little bored. Now, I have an announcement about your examination, Kakashi said. None of you have to worry about going back to the Ninja Academy. Sakura looked stunned. Sasuke just have his signature grunts, while Naruto raised his eyebrow at him. Because all of you are so hopeless that any further training would be pointless. None of you will ever be shinobi. Give it up, Kakashi said. Not one of the three of you will ever be ninja. Sakura was stunned into silence. Sasuke was gritting his teeth and Naruto was, surprisingly, quiet. Why? Sakura asked. Why should we quit? Because none of you have what it takes, Kakashi declared. Sasuke growled and shot towards Kakashi. Sasuke, Sakura said while Naruto was shaking his head. A split second, Kakashi was sitting on Sasuke. Don't step on him, Sakura screeched. Naruto meanwhile had doubled over laughing. Do you think the life of a ninja is an easy one? Kakashi demanded. Did you ever think about why you were placed into squads? Excuse me? Sakura said. Naruto face-palmed and dragged his hand down his face. And you're the smartest in our class? Naruto asked. Ninja are always put into teams of 3 or 4 when on missions. The point of this test was to see if any of us could work as a team. He looked between Sakura and Sasuke. If you two had actually listened to me when I suggested coming together to form a plan, it would probably be a different conversation right now. You suggested teaming up against me? Kakashi asked. Yeah, I sent a shadow clone to both of them, Naruto said. And their words were quote, he pointed at Sasuke, still under Kakashi, stay out of my way Dobe, I can handle him. He moved his finger to Sakura. Go away Naruto and make sure you stay out of Sasuke's way. Well, if this test was about teamwork, then why did Kakashi-sensei pit us against each other? Sakura demanded, red in the face, and trying to regain her pride. Naruto blinked, and turned to his teacher. I couldn't quite figure that one out, he admitted. The test was meant to breed competition and discord amongst you, Kakashi explained. It was supposed to show which one of you was willing to put aside their personal interests for the betterment of the unit. Oh, so it was like seeing which one of us was willing to be the decoy so that the others could get away, Naruto said. Kakashi nodded. But instead of doing that, you Sakura completely ignored Naruto and focused solely on Sasuke. Kakashi lectured. And you Sasuke decided that Naruto and Sakura would only get in the way. You decided to try and fight me on your own. And me? Asked Naruto. You Naruto seemed to understand the test, Kakashi said. Though I have to ask, why did you decide to try and fight me head-on? When it was clear that Sasuke and Sakura weren't going to work with me, I decided to test myself. Naruto explained. I figured out that I keep the memories of my shadow clones, so I figured I'd fight a real ninja to figure out my flaws. Is that the reason you created a small army? Kakashi asked. That, Naruto admitted. And I figured a small army was the best way to at least stand a chance against you. Kakashi nodded. While it is important for a ninja to have individual skills, it is even more important to know how to work with others. That way something like this might not happen. Kakashi said, drawing a kunai. Naruto, kill Sakura now or else Sasuke dies. Naruto moved his hand to his shuriken holster, and Sakura stiffened. I've got a better idea, Naruto said, throwing a shuriken at Kakashi. He moved his head to let the weapon fly past his head, but heard the poof. Another shadow clone appeared, holding a kunai to Kakashi's eye. Let Sasuke go, and you get to keep your other eye. Kakashi caught the glint of metal near his eye. Kakashi tested Naruto by moving his kunai closer to Sasuke's throat and saw Naruto's move closer to his eye. Kakashi stood up and raised his hand. When he was off Sasuke, the clone dispelled itself. The day could come one of you may be taken hostage and you're forced to make a choice. When you are on a mission, your lives will always be on the line, Kakashi said, slipping back into lecture mode and approaching the stone. The names carved into this stone belong to some of the greatest heroes of our village. Naruto removed his hat while the others looked on, slightly confused. These are the names of the heroes that died in the line of duty. It holds the names of my best friends. Sakura and Sasuke looked stunned. If you wish to continue, eat one of those bento boxes and prepare for a much, much harder test. And with that Kakashi disappeared. As the smoke cleared, Naruto put his hat back on and started to walk away. Where are you going? Sasuke asked. I've got this kid I'm helping to become a great ninja. I think I'll swing by to help him out some more, Naruto said. Because until you learn to pull your head out of your ass, Sasuke, and Sakura takes off her Sasuke blinders, this team is doomed to fail each and every time. He turned away from them. Maybe next time I'll get teammates who are actually willing to work with me. He walked away from the pair. When he was out of their line of sight and out of earshot, he stopped. Any last words of advice, Kakashi-sensei? He asked. Kakashi looked down at him from the tree he was sitting in. Just this, Kakashi said. In a ninja's world, those who violate the rules and fail to follow orders are lower than garbage. But those who do not care and support their fellows are even lower than that. Good advice, Naruto said. And if I'm ever paired up again with Sakura or Sasuke on a mission, I would do whatever it took to make sure them and anyone else we work with gets home safe and in one piece. But until then I've got my own student to teach. He started walking, and for a second, Kakashi thought he was watching Minato Namikaze and not Naruto Uzumaki. Later, during the meeting of the Jonins about their teams, only 2 squads, Squad 8 and 10, passed. Many present were stunned that Squad 7 failed and were quick to blame Naruto. Naruto had nothing to do with the failing of Squad 7, Kakashi said, stunning everyone into silence. If anything, Naruto was the only one who understood the meaning of my test. What do you mean, Kakashi? Asked one of the Jonin. Lord Hokage, would you mind showing my exam? Kakashi asked. Hiruzen nodded and using his crystal balls showed everyone the test of Squad 7. From Naruto's sparring match with Kakashi to Naruto walking away from Sasuke and Sakura, everyone was stunned. That was Naruto, said one of the Jonins. Lord Hokage, while I do not wish to take Sakura and Sasuke, I would like to take on Naruto Uzumaki as my student, Kakashi said. And why is that? The Hokage asked. Sasuke needs to learn to trust and work with others, and Sakura needs training in, well, everything, Kakashi said. But I believe that Naruto has so much untapped potential. He's like a diamond in the rough. He just needs a little polishing. The Hokage stroked his beard. Kakashi, meet me in my office, he said. The rest of you are dismissed. The room was suddenly filled with smoke as every ninja in the room disappeared. Kakashi and the Hokage appeared in the Hokage's office. I have decided to accept your request, Kakashi, he said. Why couldn't you have said that in the meeting room? Kakashi asked. Because I wanted to speak to you in private, Hiruzen said. You know about Naruto's heritage, right? Minato-sensei was like a father to me, Kakashi said. If I couldn't recognize his son, then I wouldn't deserve eyes. Then tell me, Kakashi, Hiruzen said. Have you ever heard of a Kamen rider? Naruto and Konohamaru sat at Ichiraku's. Konohamaru was sporting a few light bruises. You're okay in a fight, but we'll have to find you someone with some actual style, probably the old man or Asuma, Naruto said. Why do I need style, Naruto? Konohamaru asked. Because a ninja with style will always beat a ninja with none, Naruto explained. They'll know how to flow around and through attacks as opposed to a fighter like me whose only way of fighting is to just keep hitting the other guy until he stops getting up. You sound like you speak from experience, Naruto, the Hokage said, walking into the stand with Kakashi. Hey Kakashi-sensei, old man, pull up a seat. Naruto offered. What brings the two of you here? Tochi asked. Actually, we're here to see Naruto, Kakashi said. Whatever it is, I didn't do it, Naruto said quickly. The group chuckled. Actually, Naruto, Hiruzen said. We're here because Kakashi would like to take you on as his student. Old man says what now? Naruto asked, surprised. It's true, Naruto, Kakashi said. Sasuke needs a bit more refining and Sakura needs a lot more training, but I think you have what it takes to be a proper ninja. But what about all that teamwork stuff? Asked Naruto. You more than know the meaning and importance of teamwork. Even during our sparring match, you were always fighting with at least two of you, Kakashi said. And you'll be something of a floater ninja. Whenever another genin team is in need of an extra set of hands for whatever reason, they will come to you. Naruto nodded in understanding. So Naruto, will you accept to being Kakashi's student? The Hokage asked. Heck yeah, I'll be Kakashi's student, Naruto said with a smile. Kakashi smiled back at him. Then meet me tomorrow at the same training grounds, he said. Hi, Kakashi-sensei, Naruto said. 1 month later. Over the past month a lot of things happened between Naruto and Kakashi. One of things was that every time Kakashi was late for a training session, the next day Naruto was twice as late. And by the end of their first month, Naruto had done something that only the Hokage had ever come close to doing. He got Kakashi Hatake to arrive on time for an appointment. Of course, when they weren't having a who's latest contest, they actually got some training in. Kakashi taught Naruto various chakra control skills and tried to refine his taijutsu, the key word being tried. Naruto was just a brawler by nature, so Kakashi just tried to refine that brawler nature. Kakashi also worked to help Naruto in his worst field, chakra control. He started by having Naruto walk up a tree using chakra control. It took him roughly a week and a half, but he got it done. After that, Kakashi had Naruto work on water walking, and did light sparring with him on the trees. On their first day of training, Kakashi also revealed that the Hokage had revealed to him the existence of the Kamen Rider Kurama armor. When Kakashi asked why he didn't use the armor during the belt test, Naruto gave a simple answer. You were testing the skills of Naruto Uzumaki, not Kamen Rider Kurama. From about 1 to 5 on the weekdays, Kakashi and Naruto would take on D-rank missions, or as Naruto called them, chores that the lazy-ass villagers wouldn't do themselves. With Naruto using his shadow clone jutsu, the missions were relatively easy to get done. But at the end of the first month, Naruto had had enough. Naruto and Kakashi had just returned from catching the Tora, the cat of the fire daimyo's wife. After catching the fur ball, Naruto was starting to see why the Inuzuka clan were dog people. Hey old man, as usefully as these D-rank missions are for my income, don't you have anything more, I don't know, ninja-worthy? Naruto, you are still a rookie ninja who's only been out of the academy for a month, Iruka said. You're not ready yet for anything higher than a D-rank. Besides, you're by yourself out there. Shadow clones don't count as teammates. Well, what about the other graduates? Naruto asked. I know I'm not the only one who actually became a genin. What if you team me up with one, or two of those teams for something like a D-rank that takes place outside the village or something? The Hokage stroked his beard in thought. Iruka, he said. How many missions have the other teams performed? Iruka blinked and started looking through his scroll. Both teams have performed enough D-ranks to each perform a low C-rank mission, Iruka said. Very well, the Hokage said. He signaled one of his ANBU who appeared. Please collect squads 8 and 10 and have them report to me, please. Yes, Lord Hokage, the ANBU said and disappeared. Based upon your argument, Naruto, I am agreeing with your request. Naruto, Kakashi, and Iruka all blinked in surprise. Really? Asked Naruto. I honestly wasn't expecting you to say yes. Everyone chuckled at that. They waited about 15 minutes before Squads 8, consisting of Kiba Inuzuka, Shino Aburame, and Hinata Hyuga, led by Kurenai Yuhi, and Squad 10, consisting of Ino Yamanaka, Shikamaru Nara, and Choji Akimichi, led by Asuma Sarutobi, walked into the mission room. The Hokage quickly briefed them of the situation, their reactions ranging from Kiba's Yahoo to Shikamaru's Yar days. "All right, now that everyone is brought up to speed, please show in the client," the Hokage called. The door opened to reveal a pot-bellied old man with a rope tied around his head and a bottle of alcohol in his hand. "These kids are supposed to be protecting me?" the client asked. "They look more like a bunch of snot-nosed kids, especially the short one in the hat." Naruto let out an involuntary growl. "Like us or not, you old drunk, we're your protection, so either take it or leave it," he said, crossing his arms. "And bear in mind that your bodyguards consist of 6 clan heirs and the 6th Hokage," Naruto said, but added hopefully in a whisper. "And on top of that, you've got 3 elite jonins coming with you, so quite frankly, you've got nothing to complain about." The 3 squads all stood tall and proud in the light of Naruto's glowing recommendations. The drunk, however, was still unimpressed. "I am Tazuna, the bridge builder of ultimate renown," he introduced himself. "Until I'm back in my home country, where I'm completing my latest project, you'll all be expected to protect me, even if it costs you your lives." An hour later, the group of 14 stood at the gates of Konoha. Naruto was looking around and fidgeting slightly, almost as much as Hinata. "Naruto, Hinata, is everything okay?" Ino asked. "Yeah, it's fine, Ino," Naruto said with his signature foxy smile that made the 2 girls go red in the face. "This is just my first time outside the village. I guess I'm a little nervous." Same, Hinata said, though everyone but Naruto and Tazuna caught the look she was giving Naruto and knew the real reason she was nervous. "Am I really supposed to trust this bunch of kids to protect me?" Tazuna asked. "Even though they're all young, they are also strong in their own rights," Kakashi said. "And the 3 of us are elite ninja and we'll be coming too. Let's get going," Kurenai said. "Just a second, Kurenai-sensei," Naruto said, kneeling down and drawing in the dirt. "Kiba, Choji, you guys and I are the powerhouses in this group, so we'll take point. Hinata, Shikamaru, Asuma-sensei, you guys stay in the middle with Tazuna. Kakashi-sensei, Kurenai-sensei, Ino, and Shino will hang back in the back with ranged weapons as needed." Naruto looked up at everyone who was looking at him impressed. "Any objections?" "Just one question," Shikamaru said. "When did you get this good with strategy?" Naruto smiled. "Come on, Shika, if anyone knows about hidden genius, it should be you," he said, standing up and brushing his hands off. "So if there are no objections to this plan, shall we get going?" The group got into the formation that Naruto suggested and were soon on their way. The genin spent the time catching up with their old friends and swapping stories of their training of the past month. When they passed a puddle on the nearby road, it went unnoticed by most. The only ones who did notice it were Naruto, Shikamaru, all the members of Squad 8, and the jonin. They just kept walking along, and didn't notice the figure in the gas mask rise up from the puddle. He threw another person that was attached to the chain on his gauntlet. Asuma saw the pair coming and quickly pulled Shino and Ino out of the way before Kakashi and Kurenai were wrapped up in the chain. 3 down, one of them hissed as the 2 of them pulled, butchering the jonins. "And 7 to go," the other one said. Naruto was the first to recover from what he saw and sprang into action. He threw a shuriken and kunai at the chain. The shuriken pinned it to the tree while the kunai held it in place. He landed against the 3 and kicked off, creating a shadow clone. Both Narutos hit the enemy ninjas with flying sidekicks that broke them off of their chains. "Guys, pick a ninja!" he shouted at the others. Shino and Shikamaru were the first to run forward. Shino called forth a swarm of bugs that raised his opponent into the air. Shikamaru did a bicycle kick by kicking off his enemy's chest and threw an explosive kunai at him for good measure. Hinata and Ino jumped off their respective teammates' shoulders up to the enemy. Hinata became a whirlwind, striking her opponent with her gentle fist style until she just pushed him to the ground. While Ino unleashed her own powerful combo and finished with an axe kick. The 2 ninja crashed to the ground right in front of Kiba and Choji. "Let's go, Akamaru," Kiba said, making a few hand seals. "Man-beast clone. 4 legs jutsu." In a cloud of smoke, 2 feral-looking Kibas were growling at the ninja. "My turn!" Choji shouted, making his own hand signs. "Expansion jutsu." His stomach expanded to the size of a small boulder. The two ninja charged at the weekend, shakily getting back up ninja, Fong over Fong's/human boulder. Kiba and Choji, respectively, cried out. Kiba and Akamaru had become a pair of giant rotating drills while Choji had become, well, a human boulder. The two sandwiched the ninja between them, and when they were done, their opponents were soundly beaten. Naruto stood over the defeated ninja. So do you want to interrogate the prisoners? He called over his shoulder. Or do we have to do that too? The Jonin appeared behind Naruto, each one glowing with pride. Several of the others were happily surprised to see their teachers and looked over at where they'd been slaughtered. The only thing there was a bunch of logs, a substitution jutsu, Shikamaru whispered. We'll handle that, Naruto. Asuma said. Very impressive, all of you. The genin all smiled. No one got scratched, did they? Kurenai asked. It looks like these claws are poisoned. The genin all checked themselves, but they were fine. Looks like we're all good, sensei, Kiba said, giving her thumbs up, to take on two Chunin-level ninjas and walk away without a scratch. Kakashi said. You've trained you kids well. What about you, Kakashi? Asuma said. I've trained Naruto well enough for the past month, but most of it is just natural talent. Kakashi admitted. The three senior ninjas stood around the captured enemies. The demon brothers, renegades from Kiri. Kurenai knelt down in front of them. You're going to tell us who you're after and why? She ordered. We're not telling you anything, bitch. One of the demon brothers growled. What makes you think you have a choice? Asuma said. He nodded to Kurenai, who put up a genjutsu around them that blocked them from view of their students. Can you see what they're doing in there? Naruto asked Hinata. A pair of screams filled the air. Actually, I don't want to know. That was some awesome teamwork, by the way, guys. According to Asuma-sensei, it was just a basic three-man combo attack. Ino said. You don't know it? I'm kind of flying solo here, remember? Naruto pointed out. Where are Sasuke and Sakura? Asked Shino. Kakashi-sensei said that they needed more training before they were ready to be ninja. But apparently I'm good enough to go. Naruto explained. The Jonin came out of the genjutsu with serious expressions. Tazuna, we need to talk. Kakashi said. You were the ones that these two were after. And I think you knew it. Aye, Tazuna stuttered. To deal with enemy ninja takes this far beyond a simple C rank where we would only need to deal with bandits, and the like. Kurenai said. If we're fighting enemy ninja, this mission is easily a B or even an A rank mission. Asuma said. If we wanted to, we would be fully within our right to just walk away. No, please. Tazuna shouted and dropped to his knees. Please, my home and wave is a poor country. We have been ever since we fell under the mercy of Gato. That's why I paid for a C rank. It was all I could afford. Gato? Hinata asked. The shipping mogul? That's his cover. Tazuna said. He's nothing but a thug and a murderer. He controls everything that goes in and out of the ports. If I were to complete my bridge, we could finally be free of Gato's control. The Jonin all looked deep in thought. Please, I beg of you, for the sake of my people, please help me. Tears were beginning to well up in his eyes. I say we keep going, Naruto said. Everyone looked at him. I don't know about you guys, but knowing all that, if we were to walk away, I wouldn't be able to look myself in the mirror. But you're still all too new, Naruto, Kurenai said, trying to reason with him. Then couldn't we just call for some backup? Asked Naruto. Either way, even if I have to go alone, I'm finishing this mission. Tazuna was smiling, the fellow genin were looking impressed, and the Jonin knew that there would be no way to convince Naruto to just let this go. And the old drunk will pay us the difference when he and the rest of Wave get the necessary money. Yes, of course, Tazuna said. All right, Kakashi said. I'll send a messenger bird back to Konoha to request backup and tell the Hokage of our situation. Allow me, Naruto said. He bit his thumb, spread it across his left hand, and went through a series of hand signs. Summoning jutsu. Itch. After a small cloud of smoke, a small fox with one tail appeared before them. Naruto, long time no see, big bro, the fox said happily. It was small and had bright orange fur. Hinata and Ino were resisting the urge to squeal at his cuteness. Hey Ichigo, Naruto said, petting the fox. I need you to deliver a message back to Konoha and I want it there yesterday, understand? You got it bro, the fox said. What's the message and who am I delivering it to? It's going to the Hokage. Naruto said, and here's the message. Kakashi said, handing it to Naruto, who tied it around the Ichigo's leg. Alright little buddy, take off. Naruto said. Or else I'll call Nago and have him take care of this. Ichigo's fur bristled. I can run circles around that old seven-tailed bastard. Ichigo said and shot off to Konoha. When he was gone, Naruto started to laugh. I loved doing that to him. He said, What are you talking about? Choji asked. Ichigo's got a bit of a complex because he's a member of the Ich-no-Yoko tribe and they're considered the weakest. So I like to poke at him to get him to go a little harder. That's cruel, Naruto. Ino said, but she was smiling a bit. What did he mean by 7 tails? Shikamaru asked. Naruto said, how about we set up camp and I'll tell you later. A few of the others looked at him but nodded. That night after the tents had been set up, the food eaten, and the fire crackling, Naruto knew that it was time to let the cat, or rather the fox, out of the bag. Okay, you guys all know about how the 4th Hokage beat and killed the Kyuubi no Yoko, right? He said. Well, he didn't, rather he couldn't. You see, the Kyuubi, all the Biju actually, are masses of chakra given form. They can't be killed, only contained. Sometime inside a special object, other times, inside a person. Many of the genin were waiting for the shoe to drop, but others like Shikamaru and Shino knew where this was headed. When the Kyuubi attacked, the 4th Hokage only had one choice. He had to seal the fox inside of a baby, a newborn baby. The others now got where Naruto was going. I was the only option. That's why you're hated so much by the villagers. Kiba said. Because they think you're the Kyuubi. Yeah, Naruto said. But I'm not. The Kyuubi is just sealed inside me and has no influence over me. He's actually a pretty cool guy, but he nearly destroyed Konoha. Choji shouted. Not by choice. Naruto said. He was being controlled. He doesn't remember by whom, but he believes that it might have been an Uchiha. That is possible. Kakashi said. The Sharingan eye of the Uchiha clan has been known to be able to control the Kyuubi. In fact, there was a lot of suspicion of the Uchiha clan after that Kyuubi's attack. So, it's because of the Kyuubi that you're able to summon those foxes? Ino asked. Demon foxes, Naruto clarified. And yes. The fewer tails a fox has, the smaller and weaker it is. You guys saw Ichigo. He's a one-tail and about the size of Akamaru. The 3-tailed foxes get to be about the size of a full-grown dog. The 4 to 6 tails get to about the size of a small horse and are good for riding on and combat. The 7 and 8 tails are giant and good for larger and stronger opponents. What about the 9-tailed foxes? Shino asked. There's only one 9-tailed fox, and he's sealed inside me. Naruto said. Even if I wanted to summon him, it would take a lot out of me to temporarily break the seal and let him out. And you're sure the fox can be trusted? Kurenai said. I would trust him like I would an uncle. Naruto said. So, does this change your guys' opinion of me? The answer that he got was the last he expected and coming from the last person he expected. Hinata got up and wrapped her arms around him in a hug. You'll always be Naruto, she said quietly. That will never change. A second later, Ino joined in on the hug. You'll always be that funny blonde goofball to me, she said and took it a step further to give him a kiss on the cheek. I'm just sorry I didn't know sooner, or else I could have had your back more, man. Kiba said with Akamaru barking in agreement. Seeing you as the Kyuubi would be the same as seeing those of my family only as our insects. Shino said. It is illogical and besides, there's no way anyone who can make an Abirame smile can be evil. You're Naruto. Shikamaru said offhandedly. To think of you as anything else would be too troublesome. There's no way that anyone who eats Ichiraku ramen could be evil. Choji said. You're good with me. Naruto just smiled up at them all. Thanks guys, you have no idea what this means to me, he said. Commercial break. With a new crewmate, Roronoa Zoro by their side, Naruto and Luffy set off on their great adventure to make Luffy king of the pirates. There's only one teeny tiny, slight problem. Luffy just got carried off by a freaking bird. Now Naruto and Zoro have to find their captain and deal with a new enemy who possessed the powers of a devil fruit like Luffy. Buggy the Clown. End commercial. I think that's enough for one night, Kakashi said. Let's all head to bed. I'll take first watch, Naruto said. I'm not that tired, Naruto offered. Kakashi nodded and went into his tent with Kiba and Shino. Asuma went into a tent with Shikamaru and Choji while Kurenai took a tent with Hinata and Ino. Before going to his personal tent, Tazuna turned to Naruto. I think you'll make a good Hokage someday, kid, he said before getting into his tent. Naruto smiled and created a squad of shadow clones to watch the area. After that he just sat in on a log and watched the fire. He must have been sitting there for about 2 hours before he felt a hand on his shoulder. He jumped a little and looked to see Hinata and Ino behind him. You okay? Ino asked. Yeah, just a little lost in my own head, Naruto said. Naruto, I'm sorry, Ino said. I'm sorry for yelling at you and making fun of you and everything for the past few years. The past is the past, Ino, Naruto said. All we can do is look to the future. Ino and Hinata smiled and sat down on either side of Naruto. We actually wanted to talk to you about the future, Hinata said. When we get back to Konoha, would you like to go out on a date with us? Ino asked. Naruto blinked in surprise. Well, good night, Naruto said quickly and shot towards his tent, leaving the girls to giggle at him. The next day Naruto woke up after a fitful night of sleep. It wasn't that he didn't want to go out on a date with Hinata and Ino. It was more like he didn't know how. Growing up as Konoha's pariah, he didn't really have much luck about asking for dating advice. Walking out of his tent, he waved to Kiba and Shino who were still keeping watch. He threw water on his face to try and wake himself up. He walked back to the campsite and found that everyone was eating breakfast. Morning, Naruto, Kakashi said and held up a plate. Naruto took it and started eating. As they ate, everyone caught the glances that were flying between Ino, Hinata, and Naruto. Everyone else were now shooting glances at each other, as if trying to figure out what exactly was going on. Just as everyone finished breakfast, 4 blurs entered the clearing. 2 were in skin-tight green unitards, 2 wore white and had a long ponytail, and the 4th wore a pink dress and had her hair in a pair of buns. Hello, my youthful comrades! The taller one in green shouted at the top of his lungs. Guy, Asuma groaned slightly. Kakashi, my youthful rival! The person named Guy shouted again. Huh! Kakashi said, looking up from his food. You say something, Guy. This brought tears flowing down the Jonin's eyes. Hey Tenten, Naruto said, walking towards his old friend. I'm guessing this is your team. Yeah, Tenten sighed in embarrassment. The larger one is my sensei Guy, and his mini-me is Rock Lee. The one is white is Niji Hyuga. Hyuga? Asked Naruto and glanced over at Hinata. Anyway, you guys are our backup, I'm guessing. That is right, my youthful comrade, Lee shouted, appearing at Naruto's side and freaking him out. The Hokage believed that it would be good to work with other ninja our own age. Geez, Lee, turn down the volume a bit please, Naruto said, digging his finger in his ear. Anyway, is this everyone? Yes, we were the only team available, Niji said stoically. It sounded like a cross between Shino's monotone and Sasuke's arrogance. Already Naruto was starting to not like the guy. All right then, Naruto said, kneeling into the ground. Here, Shikamaru said, holding a shogi board. You carry one of those around with you? Naruto asked. Then Nara just shrugged. Naruto shook his head and set up the pieces like he had in their original formation. Guy-sensei, you and Lee are taijutsu experts, right? Yes, my youthful, Guy started. Thanks, Naruto interrupted. You two will be here on the front lines with me, Choji, and Kiba. Niji, you're guarding the client with Hinata, Shikamaru, and Asuma-sensei? Why is that? Niji demanded. Naruto frowned at the Hyuga's tone. Because between 2 sets of Byakugan eyes, Shikamaru's own tactical genius, and Asuma-sensei's strength, you 4 are the perfect choices for guard detail. Naruto said. Now, do you want to put your ego aside, or do you want your tombstone to say, here lies Niji Hyuga, had his head stuck up his ass and got it chopped off? Niji growled but stayed quiet. As I was saying, Ten, I want you hanging back in the back with Kakashi-sensei, Shino, Kurenai-sensei, and Shino on ranged weapon support. You got it, Naruto. Ten said. I figured the most accurate kunoichi in Konoha would like that position, he said with a smile. The remark was caught by Ino. Let's get back on the road. The group got into formation and started to make their way back down the road. It wasn't long until they reached water and a ferryman who would take them across the way. After a little while, they found themselves in a thick fog. Wow, this is some thick fog, Ino said. I can barely see a thing. We'll be able to see the bridge in a moment, the ferryman said. When the other side is the land of waves. When they broke through the fog they saw a tall unfinished bridge and were in awe by it. The mist will keep us hidden, but from this point on, we have to turn off the engines and row. We'd be screwed if Gato caught us. The group stayed quiet as they sailed across the water and reached the shore. You've done some real good here, Tazuna, Naruto said. I look forward to seeing it finished. Tazuna, so far it looks like we've been overlooked, the ferryman said when they neared the shore. Just to be on the safe side, we'll take an inland waterway through town to a point where we can make landfall under the cover of mangroves. Thanks, Tazuna said. Many of the genin were in awe of the beauty of the mangroves when they came into view. They came to a small port, and the ferryman let them all off. This is as far as I go, he said. Take care of yourselves. Thanks, Tazuna said with a smile. For taking such a risk, I shouldn't have asked. He watched as the man drove away. The group of ninja all got back into formation and started to make their way into town. Stay on your guard, people, Kakashi advised. The next person we come across will most likely be stronger than the previous ones. This put everyone on edge. Several of them had their fingers twitching over their shuriken holsters. Naruto heard something in the bushes and threw a shuriken into them, but nothing happened. Must have been the wind, he said. Please don't do that, Naruto, Kakashi requested. Sorry, but you've just got me a bit on edge, sensei, Naruto said. The group started to walk again and heard another rustle. This time it was Lee who threw a kunai. Niji activated his Byakugan and smirked. You just nearly killed a rabbit, he said. Naruto went to look and indeed saw a kunai just above the rabbit's head. He picked it up and brought it back to the group. Don't worry, Lee. The little guy's just fine, Naruto said. The senseis all had worried looks on their faces. Kakashi's eyes suddenly widened. Everybody down, he shouted. Asuma grabbed Tazuna as he and all the ninja hit the ground just as a giant sword flew over their head. The blade embedded itself into a tree and a man as big as he was stood on the hilt. He wore camel leg and arm warmers, stripped pants, no shirt, and bandages around his mouth and neck. A kiri headband was wrapped around his head. Zabuza Momochi, Kakashi identified, formerly a ninja of the Hidden Mist village. You kids are gonna want to hang back for this one, Asuma said. Even with 10 of you, this guy's in another league. He and the other senseis stood in front of their students and client. Sharingan Kakashi, the odd beast might guy, Genjutsu Mistress Kurenai, and Asuma for the 12 Guardian Ninja, Zabuza said. Would you all mind just handing over the old man? Everyone stay back and protect Tazuna, Kakashi ordered. No matter what happens, stay out of this fight. Hinata, Niji, activate your Byakugans. Support team, hang close to them. Attack team, we're the first line of defense. Naruto ordered everyone into position. Shikamaru, game on. Shikamaru nodded and knelt down and formed a circle with his hands. Everyone, wait for my signal until doing anything, he said. Hinata, Niji, keep me informed of what's going on. In front of them, the Jonin were all locked in combat. Zabuza had performed something called the Hidden in the Mist Jutsu. A thick fog rolled in, obscuring Zabuza from view. There are 8 targets. Zabuza's voice echoed throughout the clearing. What? Ino said, looking around. Throat, spinal column, lungs, liver, the jugular vein, the subclavian artery, kidney, here, Zabuza listed. So many vital, vulnerable places, which shall I choose? His dark laugh gave everyone chills. Several of the rookies were shaking and clutching their kunais tightly. Stay calm, guys, Naruto said, snapping the worried ninja out of their thoughts. He's up against 4 Jonin, and even if he beats them, I promise, he won't get to any of us. Naruto confidence shook everyone out of their near-suicidal funks. Hyuga's talked to me. Where's Zabuza? Hinata and Niji examined the area. Niji was the one that found him. Behind us! He shouted. Zabuza materialized out of the mist and started to draw his sword. Asuma blurred towards them and blocked the blade of Zabuza's Zanbato with his trench knives. Guy flew at the ninja mercenary and kicked his head off. Literally, Zabuza's head flew off his shoulders and then turned into water. A water clone, Asuma whispered. The real Zabuza charged through the mist at Guy, his sword ready to cleave him in half. Guy-sensei! Lee shouted in warning. Kakashi and Kurenai stood on either side of Zabuza and bombarded him with shuriken, turning him into Swiss cheese and then a puddle of water. Where is he? Shikamaru asked. Water style, Zabuza's voice came. Water dragon jutsu. A dragon made of water flew from the direction of the lake and nailed all the jonin and pushed them into the water. Does this water seem heavy to you guys? Kurenai asked. Chakra, Kakashi whispered. Four Zabuzas shot out of the water behind the senseis. Water style, water prison jutsu. They shouted. The senseis were trapped inside spheres of water. Those prisons are inescapable. You're all trapped. All of you running around make my job harder to do, so I'll just hold you all here while I deal with the runts. Water clone jutsu. Another Zabuza slowly rose out of water. We're in deep shit, Naruto said. Little ninja wannabes, trying so hard to fit in, even wearing those headbands. Zabuza laughed. But a real ninja is the one who walks the line between life and death. Everyone, take Tazuna and get the hell out of here. Kakashi shouted through the water. You can't beat him, and his clones can only get so far away from him. Naruto was gritting his teeth and analyzing the situation. Okay, options, Naruto though. Number 1, listen to Kakashi-sensei. That's a no right off the bat. Zabuza could just kill our senseis and come after us. 2, fight him head-on. That won't work either. Even if there are 10 of us, but this guy took down our teachers with barely breaking a sweat. 3, use it. Well, since I can't think of anything else, I guess it's option 3. Guys! He shouted. I've got a plan. Attack team, follow my lead. Defense team, watch Tazuna. Support team, wait for my signal. You've got a plan, Naruto? Shikamaru asked. Yeah, and whatever you see next, I'll explain later. Naruto said and grabbed his belt buckle. Henshin! Naruto burst into flames, making his friends worry about him, but it quickly faded to reveal Naruto in a suit of armor. Naruto, Hinata gasped. Whoa, Ino said. Tenten was also drooling over the sight of Naruto's sword. All right, people, follow my lead. Kurama said. Zabuza was just laughing and shaking his head. Do you really think some suit of armor can help you? Zabuza said. When I was your age, he was cut off, almost literally, as Naruto swung his sword at him. He just barely raised his blade to block. Sorry, but I hate it when old people start to ramble on about walking to the ninja academy uphill both ways in the snow. Kurama said. Now let's rock. He swung his sword again. Zabuza blocked the blade. He didn't, however, block Kiba's spinning, break-dancing like blows. Zabuza was about to chop Kiba half, but the blade was once again occupied by Naruto's sword. This time it was Choji who hammed on the blows while Zabuza was busy. An annoyed Zabuza raised his blade to attack again, and once again, Naruto blocked the attack, giving Lee the room to rain down blows that were both hard and fast. Zabuza staggered back and didn't notice Naruto blur in front of him. Million stab! Shouted Naruto and fired off the barrage of stabs. The ventilated Zabuza turned into puddle. Support team, now! Aim for the one holding your sensei. Shino, Tenten, and Ino moved to the front line and Naruto flipped his sword into a reverse grip. Drive! He shouted and swung his sword, sending an arc of energy that cut through the water, the mist, and through the Zabuza clone. Parasitic insect swarm. Shino said, launching a, swarm of, parasitic insects at the Zabuza holding Kurenai, eating up its chakra and reducing it to a puddle. Ninja art, multi-weapon jutsu. Tenten cried and opened a scroll, firing off about 15 weapons that bombarded the Zabuza with Guy. Ninja art, Explosive bouquet, Ino said. She threw a bouquet of flowers, each one blowing up and taking the zabuza holding Asuma with it. They were all water clones? Naruto deduced. Then where? Ino, behind you, Hinata shouted. Zabuza appeared out of the mist spinning his zanbato over his head. You're mine! Zabuza growled and brought his sword across to slice her across the waist. Or that would have been the plan if Naruto hadn't blurred between them and used his body as a shield to protect Ino. The force behind the slash was enough to knock Naruto out of his henshin and sent the pair rolling across the ground. You, okay, Ino? Naruto grunted. Ino was wide-eyed and nodded slowly. Naruto tried to sit up but groaned and fell back. Ino was pulled her hand back and found blood on her hand. You brat! Zabuza roared and raised his sword over his head and was brought it down. It clanged against the Suma's trench knives. You made a big mistake in attacking out students, Zabuza, Kakashi said. It's time to take the gloves off. He reached for his headband and pulled it up his headband to reveal a red eye with 3 tomas around it. Agreed, Guy said. Chakra began to swirl around him. Third floor, gate of pain, open! He shouted. His hair stood on end and his skin turned red. Asuma kicked Zabuza away and charged Chakra through his trench knives. Flying swallow, he said, changing his trench knives into trench swords. Let's go, Zabuza, Kurenai said. She and the other Jonin charged at Zabuza. The girls meanwhile had formed a small ring around Naruto. I've got a first aid kit, Tenten said, pulling it out of one of her scrolls. Someone hold his skin together. With shaky hand, Ino pulled the skin on Naruto's back together while Tenten stitched his skin together. Here, Hinata said after they stitched him up. It's a healing cream. Hinata put some cream on his back. The Jonin meanwhile were battling it out with Zabuza. Kurenai had cast a genjutsu on Zabuza to throw him off of what the others would do. Between that, Asuma's slashes, Guy's fists, and Kakashi's ninjutsu, Zabuza soon had his back against a tree, bloody, broken, and beaten. It's over, Zabuza, Kakashi said as they approached him. A pair of saban needles flew through the air and pierced Zabuza's neck. It would appear that you are correct, said a new ninja. He was standing in a tree and looked down on Zabuza. Kakashi walked forward and checked for a pulse. He's gone, he confirmed. Sorry for interfering, but I wanted to end the demon of the mist myself. Akiri Hunter Ninja, Asuma said, lighting another cigarette. Bit young, aren't you? Your fight is over, the Hunter Nin said, disappearing from the branch and appearing by Zabuza. I will take the remains for disposal. And without another word he and the body disappeared. The Jonin stood for a minute before rushing to Naruto's side. Is he okay? Kakashi asked, his Sharingan eye covered again. Naruto grunted and gave him thumbs up. Give me a good night's sleep, Naruto said. I'll be okay. You can recover at my place, Tazuna said. It's not far. Naruto nodded and Kakashi pulled him onto his back. Nothing happened during the trip to Tazuna's house. When they arrived, his daughter, Tsunami, ushered Naruto to the couch and Kakashi set him down. Are you going to be okay? She asked. I'll be fine, Naruto said. I've got 3 beautiful nurses looking after me after all. He smiled and Hinata, Ino, and Tenten all blushed. Still, you're taking it easy for the next week, Kakashi said. And that's an order. Yes, sensei, Naruto said. He looked around and saw a confused look on Tenten's face. Something wrong, Tenten? Just that kid that took Zabuza, she said. He's part of a special breed of ninja who hunt down and kill ninja that betray their villages, Guy said seriously. When they make a kill, they dismember the body so that the secrets of their villages will stay secrets. What do you mean, sensei? Lee asked. Even a ninja's dead body can tell a lot about them, Asuma said. Jutsus they might have known, for example. The same thing will happen to us when we die. The thing is, though, Kurenai said, they usually dismember the bodies right there on the spot. And those weapons he used, what about them? Kiba asked. Saban needles have a variety of uses, including some medical uses. A friend of mine uses them a lot. At the mention of friend, the guys all shuddered. Among those uses include putting people into death-like states. Everyone caught on and went wide-eyed. So Sword Boy's still sucking air, huh? Naruto said. He tried to sit up but fell back with a groan. Damn it, aren't you just overthinking things and making them more complicated? Tazuna asked. Maybe, but it's usually the smallest details that are the most important. It's better to be safe than sorry. Kakashi pointed out. Either way, we don't know if Zabuza is the worst the Gato has to throw at us, so we need to be prepared. What do you have in mind, Kakashi? Asuma asked. I think it would be a good idea to step our students' training a bit, Kakashi said. I mean, I've just been helping Naruto with taijutsu and chakra control for the past month. That's all you've trained him in, my youthful rival, Guy said. I've got really bad taijutsu and chakra control. Naruto groaned. Just wish I wasn't missing out on all the fun. It wouldn't be fun for you, said a kid in overalls, a bucket hat, and just gave off the most depressing aura a person could imagine. Who the hell are you? Kiba snapped. Inari, where have you been? Tazuna asked, holding his arms out to the boy. Welcome home, Inari said. Grandpa. He came up and hugged Tazuna. Inari, greet our guests properly. Tsunami scolded. They are esteemed ninja who brought your grandfather home safely. Inari looked at the 14 ninja, one of whom was lying on the couch. But mama, they're all gonna die, Inari said. No one can beat Gato and his men. A few of the younger ninja were looking ticked, but the older ones, and Shikamaru and Shino, were wondering what he meant. Listen, kid, everyone in this room is a hero or has the potential to be a great one, Naruto said. Inari just glared at Naruto. There's no such thing as a hero. He said if you don't want to die, go back home. Where are you off to, Inari? Tazuna asked. I'm going to watch the ocean from my room, Inari said and walked out. Sweet kid, Shikamaru muttered. Please forgive him, Tazuna requested. We'll see, Naruto said. So Kakashi-sensei, what exactly are we gonna do about me? I mean, even with my insane healing factor, I'm gonna be stuck on this couch for 2 days, maybe 3. Less if my nurses take care of me. The girls once again blushed at this. And just in case Zabuza shows up or Gato has someone stronger, we'll need everything, including Kurama. What exactly is Kurama? Asked Choji. Naruto sighed and rubbed his forehead. Better get comfortable, guys, it's a bit of a story, Naruto said. And if you want an explanation of Kamen Rider Kurama, look at the last chapter. So, that's everything. Naruto finished. Naruto! Lee shouted after his story finished. I must spar with you in your armor. Naruto smiled sheepishly. I wish I could take you on, Lee, but with the armor I'd probably destroy you, Naruto said. Besides, I only use the armor as a last resort, like against Zabuza, Shikamaru said. Since we couldn't beat him on our own nor run away safely, figures you would have thought up the scenarios, Shika. Naruto smiled. So Kakashi-sensei? Kakashi was rubbing his chin. Well, you're going to be on this couch till you're back to 100%, he said. But maybe I can teach your shadow clones some nature manipulation. Sounds good, Naruto said with a yawn. But first I need some sleep. Everyone smiled at him and left him to sleep. Everyone left to leave him, except for Hinata, Tenten, and Ino. So, how do you know Naruto? Ino asked Tenten. He's been coming into my grandpa's shop for years for cloths and equipment, Tenten explained. I think we're the only place to sell to him, probably because of the Kyuubi. Hinata and Ino thought. What about you guys? Tenten asked. We were his C classmates, Hinata said. Some of us not the best, Ino muttered under her breath. Tenten looked at her. No pink hair, so you're not Sakura, Tenten said. What do you mean? Hinata asked. Naruto told me he used to try and ask out this girl Sakura a lot, but she would always turn him down, hard and loud. Tenten explained. Well, I wasn't as bad as Sakura, Ino said. If he tried asking me out, I probably would have given him a chance after a while. But I was never there for him when he needed a friend. I wasn't there either, Hinata stammered. I'll always watch from afar. Well, you're all here now, Naruto said, making the 3 of them jump. And Ino, Hinata, to answer your question from earlier, I'd be happy to date you when we get back to Konoha, but on the condition that Tenten gets one too. The weapons mistresses blushed. If she wants one, of course, Naruto said, turning on his copyrighted foxy charm. Sure, Tenten said, blushing. Hinata and Ino looked at each other and nodded. Good, now go to sleep, Naruto yawned. The girls smiled and left, leaving Naruto to fall asleep himself with a smile on his face. All right, and that's